Two raiders plumb the depths of their experience to make sense of a world gone completely insane. Subscribe for the word. Like and leave a comment. Stranger by the Hour.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Stranger by the Hour, episode 138 on August 29th, 2024. And we've got Jon Fitch back in the house. Thanks to Jon for coming on back. And thanks to everybody that made it through that first episode, despite the echo. Thanks for soldiering through. And yeah, we had a great talk the first time covering Jon's class action or the lawsuit he was involved in against the UFC. And so we definitely don't want to rehash that. We're just going to jump into some new topics, man. And
well, I mean, a lot's happened since then too, though.
Oh, there's been movement on it.
Well, because the settlement got rejected.
All right.
From the judge.
The amount. So what? The amount of the settlement got rejected. Is that what?
There's a few reasons. One, there's two classes: the Lee class and the Johnson class, 2010, 2017, 2017 to present day. He said that the cases are two different. They're seeking different things. One is seeking damages. One's seeking injunctive relief, which means changes to the business plan, business model.
Yeah.
And he didn't like the idea of the two cases being settled together at all. He didn't like the number that they came with. He thought it was way too low for what was being risked, and the strength, the judge's opinion, the strength of the case. He didn't think it was a good settlement. So he threw that out. Court trial has been set, I believe, February.
Okay, so this is it's thrown out, but it's in kind of a positive light for the plaintiff.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, because they had us in a tight spot with the waivers, and because they made the new guys sign waivers on joining a class action lawsuit. They made them sign. Everybody kind of has to do this, but you have to sign a arbitration agreement.
Stipulating
you can't actually sue them. And that's another big thing that's happened recently is like this past week, a judge ruled against the Ninth Circuit ruled against people who were using those type of agreements. So that looks really bad for the UFC right now. That may go on to the Supreme Court. We'll see what happens there.
I mean, yeah, it looks bad. Like maybe I'm naive, but like any kind of move like that says, hey, look, you need to, before you can do business with us, you need to waive your right to hold us accountable. Should we abuse you in some way?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's pretty wild.
That's basically saying, hey, our business model is to abuse.
The problem is that the Supreme Court has upheld that.
Yeah.
that exact thing a number of times, almost 30 times, I think.
And this is like everything else. It seems that we have a government and a legal system that works on the behalf of a certain kind of strata of person in the country.
It's money.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Who's got the biggest bank account? Who's got the biggest checkbook? Right. That's how everything seemed to lean these days.
Yeah.
It's very, very it's not a worker friendly environment at all.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of that?
Well, on to that subject. So I was just going to pop over onto this for current events, right? So correct me if I get this wrong, but the basis of the class action lawsuit is that essentially the UFC is operating a monopoly.
Yes. And we're taking the case as a Monsanto case because they're controlling the market because they control the talent. But they have never-ending contracts. They control ascension to title. They control the title. They control ranks essentially by their leverage and influence on the press. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that got me to thinking as I was thinking about doing this episode again tonight. So it seems like things happen so fast nowadays. Things get memory hold so fast. So since the last time we talked, there's been
all kinds of shit's going on.
Oh yeah, we have a change in the presidential candidate that happened without a vote. There was an assassination attempt. Wasn't that something that happened?
Yeah. A very shaky, a very suspect assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Very
So-
suspect. Isn't there some weird stuff around the kid who they blamed it on and his body? And
They cremated his ass.
And
before anybody got to check him out, so he
And
could have been dead for
allegedly-
weeks. We have no
Yeah.
idea.
and apparently the FBI's interviewed like 100 people or something and have no movement on any motive. You know, like they talked to 100 people that knew this guy and they're like, yeah, shit, we're coming up goose eggs, guys. Like, we don't know why he did it. And it's like, oh, come on, you fuckers.
So what I'm trying to get to with this photograph here is, you know, we'll throw a supposition out there. So Aaron and I share some suppositions, right? I don't think he's going to be too far off when I say this, but like we look at the presidential election like a selection process. As far as we're concerned, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, is we look at presidential level politics exactly the same way as as WWE. Like we think these people
It's
are
all pro wrestling. I came up with that idea years ago.
Yeah.
Everything is pro wrestling. When you start looking at things like that, it starts making a lot more sense.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's pro wrestling, and then you have to look at who benefits out of every situation.
Yeah, cui bono.
So for this photograph, it's kind of interesting, right? So Trump is supposed to be for the little guy. Trump is supposed to be for small businesses. He's supposed to be for the little guy.
He's a populist hero.
He's a populist hero. I mean, he was personally saved by
God,
who moved that bullet to hit that poor firefighter.
yeah.
But so standing right next to him is a guy who's being sued for being a monopolist. And you know, you've got some pretty strong opinions about Dana White.
Well, do you guys ever hear about Dana's whole stripper prostitute chick he was flying out to
No, sir, do not.
Brazil and whatever?
Spill
And
the
then
tea.
her and her boyfriend tried to set him up, and they recorded the sex session, and they tried to blackmail him.
Damn.
And then they pushed really hard to cover his name up for years, and for some reason they did. With money, the legal system works for the people holding the bag. So yeah, that was like a big huge thing that nobody really knows about, and the press will never touch and never talk about it. He got like, we know he was flying out a prostitute, stripper, whatever, sex worker, whatever you want to call him today in this mad world.
Is Dana married?
To have sex with.
Yeah.
He had a boyfriend. He told her to record it, and then they try to blackmail him, and then there's all this other legal crap going on.
Well, you can tell he's got power, actual power, because there's also that video of him in the bar just hauling off and smacking. I guess like, he might have smacked her, or close fist hit her, like his wife. They're beefing in a bar, and he fucking nails her in the face.
I mean, what did she say?
Well, but I mean, you know, there's a certain level of public person that would be the end of them. You know, but he's above
100%.
that level. Yeah,
he did. Like, it was a news cycle for a couple of weeks, and then it was gone. Nobody even mentions it anymore.
And you know, like he's one of these guys. Now, of course, I have no personal interaction with him, but like as just a consumer of the product that he puts out, and then like the media, because I don't know anything. I've never had any dealings with him. Before I knew bad things about him, like he's likable to me. Like he's a character that I like. I find him entertaining. I like when he's doing those interviews and he's being a dick to the fucking reporters all the time.
He walked out.
It's good. It's like good TV for me to watch. You know what I mean? But same thing with Trump. It's like the character of Trump. I'm like, because I would never grant him any actual authority over me. I'm like, yeah, he's just a character. Mm-hmm. But the problem is I live around a bunch of people who take all this people completely
way too seriously.
Yeah.
They believe the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan hate each other. They believe it. So it's real to them, man. It's real to them.
Trump's very popular. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's fun. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed 2016 and voted for him.
Yeah.
Not because I thought, his policies are going to be awesome, because pure entertainment. Pure entertainment.
Yeah, but you're around fighters all the time. Like, do a lot of guys see it your way that it's entertainment, or because it seems like he's very popular?
No, I think most people are just not really that plugged in. They don't really pay attention that much.
Yeah, and that's probably that's a better place to be than super plugged in.
Yeah, I vacillate between those myself. I mean, sometimes I'm like, man, does knowing all this shit make my life better? Or that's not quite true. I know it makes it better, but it, long is the road and hard that out of hell leads to light.
Well, it's like we talk about, like you should be oriented towards being interested in the truth, like the objective truth, not the relative truth that they provide you. But you don't want to be, you want to be committed to your goals, your own life, and then just kind of keeping an eye on what these freaks are up to, because
this stuff, this isn't, because this stuff doesn't really touch you that much. If you're creating stuff yourself, if you're building stuff yourself, you're dependent on yourself and not the government, then there's not a lot they can do to mess with you.
That's 100% right, man. That
The
is
problem is when you get plugged into their system. If you plug in yourself into their system, if you're making money by their system, well,
Right.
now you're going to have to bend knee to them because
And, you
because
know,
you want to play by their rules in their game. I'm
agreed.
taking my ball and going home, man.
Yep. And I don't know if you notice or if you've experienced it the same way, but people that are making their living, and especially if they're making a good living off the system, then they are inclined to
Protect the system.
yeah, and advocate
Or at
behalf-
least ignore anything that's going on.
right, because that's where the bag comes from for them.
So on that note, that we see that a lot in the veteran community, as nobody wants to rock the boat basically on things like the Afghan war, things like this, because it's a lot of guys, your Jocos, for example, are getting paid from a persona, right?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty high profile thing that, the UFC class action lawsuit. It's interesting that we haven't heard heard anything from like an alt media pundit like a Joe Rogan or something like that on this issue.
Well, yeah. Rogan, I mean, he's
They're all plugged into the same system, making money off of it. Nobody wants to. Why aren't other promoters stepping up and saying anything?
yeah.
They aren't. Why aren't? Because the fighters are filing this lawsuit. The promoters could too. The promoters are being damaged by the UFC monopoly. Also, why aren't any of the promoters stepping up?
What's the next
The
UFC?
simple answer is they profit because they profit
promoters
on the current model. They don't need to be number one to make huge amounts of money.
Oh, so even these lesser promotions it's
Yes.
still lucrative. What's the next?
Because they're
biggest one?
getting. I mean, look at the PFL. No, there is no number two because no one's profitable.
Oh, so
Right?
they're not.
In my opinion, if you're not turning a profit, you don't get on the board.
Yeah.
Right. So nobody is profitable, but all these guys have nice houses, nice cars, nice suits. They travel around the
How do
world,
they?
right?
Oh, it's not profitable for the fighters, but they're still making money.
investors, and sponsors.
Okay.
So they constantly are going out there putting together this awesome pitch deck, right? To take to these, look at these awesome fighters, look at this awesome thing. Look, we're doing it different. We're real competitors. We're gonna beat the UFC. We're gonna be number one. And all these suckers are like, oh, okay, and they pay out a bunch of money, millions of dollars. They don't see a return. Whoops!
They don't
go
know.
another pitch deck to another group of people, get more money out of them. They just keep grifting money over and over and over again
From like
off of
venture capitalists or
investors.
something.
Yeah. I mean, well, like PFL got a huge chunk of money from Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay. Well, shit, Saudi Arabia bought golf too, basically. They bought that. I don't know much about golf, but it was like very controversial. It was like the hugest golf promotion type thing, and Saudi Arabia bought it.
Yeah, I mean, they get like $8 billion weapons deals from us too. Like,
Well, yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I really like the idea of doing our own thing. We bought this 52-acre farm out here because years ago we kind of just, when we were looking at all this stuff, decided that that is the answer, is to not lust after everything the beast has going on. It's to start a side project. I was driving a tractor all day, so my brain's kind of fried. So with that, could you? I mean, I'm thinking about those old Kimbo Slice videos where he's fighting in like a boatyard or something like that. Can you use like social media independently to sidestep the UFC, or is it just?
Well, that's one of the things newer fighters do have to do. Like, you have to win, but you also have to play that notoriety game, because the promoters no longer promote you. You have to promote yourself. Right? It's supposed to be the promoter's job. In boxing, if you had a promoter that talked about you negatively like Dana White does, you would sue him.
Because it's impacting your
he's your
ability
promoter.
to-
That's defamation. You have a legal right to sue him for saying that you're trash or you're afraid to fight.
Yeah.
You could do that. Because that guy, his job is to get you over to the fans and audience. And if he's not doing that, he's failing you. He's failing his job.
Yeah.
If he's doing that on purpose, you sue him. You can't do that in MMA though.
Yeah.
Because we have a pro wrestling business model. Vince McMahon is allowed to do what he does.
And it's correct. Do they make the matchups not based on like necessarily like what the best like fighter versus fighter technique and skill matchup is? It's like
they will literally use the Q score. Have you ever heard like the Q score?
No.
It's like a QRQ score, whatever. But it's like do a quick Google of that if you can. But that's like what they use in Hollywood to determine which stars and which people are getting over, which ones are more popular,
Really?
which ones are more plugged into the system.
All right, we're checking it out
This
real
is
quick.
interesting.
Right. So they're picking the most popular people, not the best fighters. This is straight up pro wrestling. How they put fights together is pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, right? Because I made a clip for our Instagram a little while ago and our Patreon, which basically showed Trump like choke slamming Vince McMahon
Yeah.
at like WrestleMania, whatever the fuck, you know. And so, is that the way you kind of see it? It's just interesting that it seems like they're in real time in front of everybody, like turning everything into pro wrestling when it's like.
Well, like it's not like, guys, I was saying this stuff 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I was saying all of the stuff I'm saying now 15 years ago. I saw it coming. I predicted all of this. No one wanted to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. So this says Wikipedia's got the Q score, popularly known as Q rating, is a measurement of the familiarity and appeal of a brand, celebrity, company, or entertainment product. Yeah, just like you said.
Interesting.
But they make it seem like, in the way like all the UFC podcasts and stuff talk, they're always talking about, you know, this guy's, he's got this striking and it's this guy's jiu-jitsu but really it's this Q
It's all
score.
sales PR. None of these people even know what they're talking about most times. If you man, you could change out the audio on a lot of those fights and you wouldn't even notice it.
Oh, but yeah.
With the commentating, because they're just saying the same thing about different people at different times.
Yeah, right.
It literally sounds like I've played like some of those boxing video games back in the day, and they have like the sound bites of people saying, "Oh, look at that going to the body," or whatever. Like it sounds like that. It's like they have a soundboard with a bunch of comments, and they just hit the button for that comment at the right time.
Yeah. Well,
like, I wish I would pay double. I would pay double to these streaming services and the platforms that host these fight events if they would offer me a commentation free stream. I would pay double.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
No commentators, no announcers, just put the ticker tape thing up saying what fight's coming up, who's coming up, show the stats. Because now it's just blah 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 PR, nobody's saying anything relevant, and then the majority of the show is betting lines, bet.
They do the betting stuff. This is the first.
It's insane. It's insane,
this is the
bro.
First presidential cycle that I've heard this much about. I don't remember hearing about the money lines previous, but you know, a lot of these commentators are like they're taking notice of the money lines on stuff like, you know, you can bet on anything. You can bet on who the Democrats were going to select as the VP. You can bet on, you know, how many debates do you think Trump and Kamala are going to, you can bet on every aspect of this political stuff. Yep. And then people reference that. They're like, they put it into their calculus for like, who's going to win the president. They're like, well, the good money's on, you know, Trump. Now it's on Kamala. You know, it's like pretty crazy that that kind of culture where
I saw a statistic now that was saying that, people are like investing is going down. Like people are in states that allow sports betting now. Those people are investing less into their future. So the stock market and stuff, like forever, like they're putting $2 into the big gambling rather than $1 into the saving stuff now.
Well, that's interesting because
everybody's just trying to win their way to
there's a lot of this, like nihilism and pessimism. And I was hearing someone else talk about it. It's like with the anti-natalist movement where there's more and more people that are purposefully and willfully avoiding, you know, having children and stuff because the what's presented to us from the media is such a bleak outlook on the future. It's like we're constantly, you know, 5 minutes away from everyone getting nuked. We're on the verge of World War III. We're going to get another pandemic, but this one's going to be worse. Everyone's going to bleed out of their eyes and die. You know, so people are like, it makes perfect sense to me that they're not doing long-term investing. Like they're like, well, let's put it all on fucking red, you know, like fuck it, you know, and it's demoralizing. And I think that, you know, this is my conspiracy brain going, but it's like, this is not incidental. We're being demoralized on purpose by somebody for a reason, you know? I'm not demoralized. I'm fucking stoked.
I feel pretty good.
I'm watching it burn and enjoying myself.
Yeah, dude, that's
so I got a plan. I'm not in a great spot. I don't have the land. I don't have the stuff set up to be self-sufficient, but I have an escape plan and I'm comfortable with that. And, I'm going to get to where I need to get to.
Dude, on that note, like I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I'm personally, Cody's set up a lot better than I am because I'm not out here all the time. I'm still in the burbs, but and this might just be cope, but it might not be. Like I have this feeling that like, yeah, you can do prepping and you should, whatever you have resources and time to do, you should be doing to prepare to be self-sufficient and all that, no doubt. But there's another aspect to it where it's like you prepare yourself for whatever changes come. Like it's not just about your physical situation. It's about maximizing yourself so that whatever comes, you're positioned to deal with it personally, by whatever that means to you. For me, it means I got to clean up, I got to strengthen my body. I got to work on my health. I got to work on my spiritual orientation, all that shit. Make sure my family's tight so that when drama comes, we're not already at odds. So our family unit can survive some stress, all that kind of shit. In addition to whatever physical preparation.
Yep. So what I like to put it as is being self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Right. I can figure shit out.
There you go.
I can figure it out and do it. Oh, the power grid goes down. I don't have a power for a couple of days. I can figure out something to get by and make sure we're cool.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of people that they're push button people. They're push button. Everything they do is push button. Oh, I need my house clean. I got to push a button. Somebody's going to come clean it for me.
Yep.
I need food. Oh, I'm going to push a button. Somebody's going to cook food for me. Like, oh, my car broke. I'm going to push a button. A house has a leak. Push a button. Nobody does anything themselves today.
Yep.
My girl watches some funny shows, and one is like, it's some romance thing where they try to go off the grid, romance off the grid.
Oh, it's like Love Island, but for preppers.
It's love off the grid. But like these people like met each other before, and then one of them was off the grid, and the other person's trying to move out and be off the grid with them.
Okay.
And how utterly useless most people are and spoiled. It's like, I can't, but there's no air conditioning, and I can't take a hot shower twice a day. And I think people just don't really know how nice it is right now, how good they really do have it. Like looking back 100 years ago, how much harder it was to live. Like just asking my dad what life looked like growing up, having to go out and get the chicken, kill the chicken, pick the feathers, gut it, do everything yourself so your family can eat that night.
Yeah.
Dude,
you're a 10-year-old child, and that's your job.
Yeah.
Like
my wife
people don't have no concept. If you cry about it or you get distracted, do something else and you don't get it done, oh, your family goes hungry for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was out there feeding the rabbits, and one of them, I wasn't planning on killing any of them today, but one of them was like kind of in a bad way. So I'm like, well, shit, man, I'm killing a rabbit today. So yeah, man, killed it, chopped it up.
Well, when I pulled up, the tiny dog was gnawing on one of their heads.
That's correct. Dogs love eating rabbit heads. And then so the wife came home from getting the car registration or something sorted out. And since I already had the kill station set up, she killed like another 6 of them. Yeah, getting back, once people understand that you're not going to die without air conditioning, if they just, because I barely have air conditioning. I got like a little standalone unit in this.
I hardly use
cabin.
mine.
Yeah.
Hardly use it. If it doesn't break 100 degrees, like, what are you? Like, oh, I'm going to melt. Like, I get so sick of how weak people are, because we get like rolling brownouts and shit because too many people are pumping their air conditioner. They leave for work and their air conditioner is still set on 60. I can hear it all day long. My neighbors all day long. They're not there. What are you doing? I want to make sure it's an icebox when I get home. Because I'm a lord. I'm a king. Oh, look at me. I sit in a fancy chair.
I think long-term things like a general loss of power, like widespread across the nation, isn't really in the books because their like surveillance system, the they, the them, the controllers, the predatory class, etc. Their control system requires this power. They're not just going to shut this shit off, because if they shut this off, then okay, cool. We're back in.
They can't keep eyes on us anymore.
That's right. They can't see what I'm doing.
That's why people like that's an argument people use against Bitcoin with me, right? Because I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, and I've been supporting that for 10 years already now.
Nice.
And they're like, oh, well, what if the power grid goes down? I was like, bro, if the power grid goes down, you got way bigger worries to go about what you're buying stuff with.
100%.
Like you're talking about people kicking your door down and like killing people and stuff at that level.
Plus, correct me if I'm wrong.
Because there's not going to be enough food to go around.
It's not exactly the case that if the grid went down, you couldn't exchange crypto, right? Couldn't? Oh no, I was thinking you could go like point to point from one crypto wallet to another, but you really couldn't because it has to go through the exchange, right?
You would need the internet would still be.
It would have to, but like we just said, like I think
but like for that to happen, that's
if the
catastrophic.
internet,
I'm surprised there haven't been any movies about that. Like the day the internet went down.
That ought to tell you something, that they're not conditioning us, because the movies are to condition you to accept this, that, or the other reality. So the fact that we haven't seen an internetless situation in a movie probably means that they're not going to shut it off.
It was in the 2012 Olympic Games opening ceremony.
Was that the one with all the fucking
the kids and shit.
Yeah, I didn't know there was
like in their little stage play. They showed basically the world being connected through the World Wide Web, and there's like a house in the middle of the stadium, you know, with like one person in it.
Yeah,
and then towards the end of it, everything shuts off.
Yeah,
and the implication with that is, you know, a lot of people don't have good personal relationships with the people around them because they're on their phone and like, oh, I've got 10,000 friends on fucking Instagram.
Yeah, right.
So I don't need to be cool with my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as soon as this black mirror stops working and your neighbor hates you
or doesn't know you,
you know, that's going to be a problem. So I think a potential shutdown of the internet maybe would be on the menu, but it wouldn't be for long. It would just be for them to like reboot it to you know, something more dystopian.
Yeah, to bring in something like, you know, these rabbit holes. And I've just, after a few years of being kind of super into all that, it's like I reached a point of exhaustion, and I'm like, I've now confronted intellectually like basically every possible terrible outcome.
Yeah.
And it's like, it comes back to like, all right, all I can do is, you know.
Well, I shared one of your reels earlier today, and basically you were talking about a Hegelian dialectic type setup where, you know, whether or not Kamala gets in, Kamala, whatever the fuck her name is, or Trump, you know, the potential economic downfall is coming, right? So either they put Trump in because then they can blame the economic downfall on him, or Kamala gets in and she's clearly retarded. So, you know, why not dump the fucking economy on her watch, you know? Now, in my opinion, that would be to move towards like a central bank digital currency.
Yeah.
Do you see crypto or Bitcoin competing with that, or do you think they would leave Bitcoin unmolested? Or
I don't think they can. They're doing as much as they can with it as is. They're trying to do as much as they can to suppress the price. I believe they're buying it up whenever they can. BlackRock is buying up.
BlackRock
they can.
Recently got deep into it, right?
Yeah. So I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. I think the idea of like a central digital currency, we already have it.
Oh yeah,
we already have it. US dollar, we already have it.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're not printing dollars anymore. They just press a button and it's more numbers on the screen.
And it's all fiat.
We're already there. So like,
it doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. That's just some dressed up horror boogeyman, whatever type of thing.
Yeah.
What they can do is they can buy up as much as Bitcoin as they can, and then try to manipulate prices as much as they can, similar to like with gold. And then maybe they try to make it hard to spend, or they tax it extra. I'm thinking they're going to have to do outside things with it, because there are way too many big institutional companies are getting involved in Bitcoin now. So I don't think they can let Bitcoin crash or go to zero.
Yeah. It almost seems like they've gotten to a, well, if you can't beat them, join them type of orientation towards it. Or there's also some of these people running things. Maybe you're just old and they don't get it, and they don't think it's going to do anything. And because of that, it's creeping up on them, and it's going to be too late. It may already be too late.
We've kind of discussed the potential where, you know, you got your original like robber baron types. Essentially, it's well documented in that the degeneracy sort of flows from affluence inevitably, right? So your first generation dudes like your Rockefellers, et cetera, your Rothschilds, like those are the gangsters, right? Like those are the guys who have their eye on the ball. But you know, you get down to the people from those lines that are around now. I mean, they grew up in the same era that we grew up in.
Well, yeah, right? They say 2 generations down from whoever the patriarch was.
Family,
you get like two generations down the road, and they're completely degenerate.
So the grandson.
It's rare to keep family wealth.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
call
After a couple
term for that,
generations,
exposure.
most family wealth is lost.
Can't remember. Yeah, because the you know, I think it has something to do with when you're born with with access to every possible resource and every privilege, and you don't get an opportunity to build any character.
Mhm.
I think you would have to be some sort of like really special person, you know, like it's no wonder like Hunter Biden's not a surprise, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
or any of these guys, like it's like you know, you already grew up, you might have had a couple rich kids in your school or something that were dickheads, you know, and it's like the reason they were dickheads. Shit, I knew a couple in the Marines that like being in the Marines kind of cured him. I'm thinking about Will, like grew up super rich.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah.
Shout out Will.
But
because
I mean, a lot of times the difference is it's not the rich or poor, it's the amount of time that the parents spent with the kid. If you're hella rich and you're paying for your kid to be raised by strangers,
yep.
I think that's way worse. And those kids are going to do way worse, and they're not going to be as good, and they're not going to feel loved, and they're going to be, just following this degenerate life because they don't feel like they ever loved. Their parents never were around to hug them.
Right. It's all
I think on the poor end, you get the same thing because the parents have to work so much because they're poor. They're never around either. So that kid is raised by strangers too. So you got a person raised by poor strangers and a person raised by rich strangers. I think either way, you got different problems, but they're both screwed.
Dude, and these days parents kind of have this digital babysitter that,
Yep.
and like even it takes effort to be aware of that and to resist the temptation to just throw a tablet in your kid's face and be like, fucking chill, I got to wash the dishes. But you can't do it because once they get a taste for that shit, like my son, we go through it a little bit because, he gets access to the stuff, but it's like controlled, like the amount of time and accessing it, but it's a constant, like he's always trying to negotiate for more. Always, dude. He always wants, why is it only 30 minutes? My friends don't have time limit. I'm like, hey, man.
That's the problem now too. It's my friends are on. But your friends are going to go to losers.
Yeah, I tell them your friends are going to be
straight up.
Friends are straight up. Yeah, that's what I tell them. I'm like, look, man, you don't get it right now, but like this is going to give you an advantage. These people are going to be turned into NPCs, and like you gotta. But I try. My approach is to be like honest. I'm like, hey, look, this is a dangerous thing.
I think it's abusive to lie to kids.
Yeah, it's like a knife. You got to be careful how you use this.
Yeah, everything is double-edged technology.
And like I always find stuff, little gems online that are talking about like cell phone farms and like bots and all this stuff because they're like, oh, Mr. Beast has this many followers. They're like, bro, I don't believe that that's real. I don't believe that. I think you read through the comments, like those are all bots. It's all bots.
I went through.
It's all fake. I have this thing. I say FGR. Everything's FGR.
What is the R?
Retarded.
Okay, cool. I thought that's what it was.
FGR. It's one of those three, or a combination of all three of them. When it's online, like none of it's real. Like we saw like almost 20 years ago. I remember a big thing about YouTube doing fake views for certain artists.
The ones they want to pump up for sure. They can just manipulate that total. And
100%.
And
then you have situations where like my kid's watching something. Oh, he leaves the room and then we're gone for 4 hours. And guess what? Reels just keep playing.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't matter that somebody's watching it. It's just going and going and going. I was like, how hard is it for one of these guys to set something up where they've got 20 computers with 50, personas each, and they're all just doing the same thing? Right. Like, come on.
When you look, it's interesting.
And like CIA doesn't have like super sophisticated stuff. Like there was a picture a couple weeks ago with the phone farms, the guys in the Philippines or whatever had the big board of phones all hooked up to one thing. Like that's like third world country version.
Right.
What's the CIA got? What's the FBI doing?
That would all be depotted phone. You wouldn't waste a phone on that. You would just take just the guts. The guts.
I was literally going to say that, back in our old job, I was aware of some grimy situations where, if we were to send a guy somewhere, he needed to have, when he landed there, if he was under a cover, he needed to have a pre-made life, like right there. You can't take your regular ass cell phone there. So there was things like a cell phone farm overseas that were, keeping that guy's overseas covered phone in circulation, moving around.
Yeah.
And then he would just fall in, grab that phone, fire it up.
So to establishing a pattern of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. It's interesting to also to see like what gets pumped to the top of the popularity in YouTube. And it's like you brought up Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, like it's right there in the title. Beast. Mr. Beast.
Yeah,
and then you
Mr.
look at like his content at first glance, it seems wholesome enough and harmless. But then you look at what he's really doing. He's taken like, oh, hey, if you stay in this warehouse and build a castle out of Legos with this bag on your head for fucking 24 hours, to give you $100,000 or whatever, right? He just all these ridiculous things. But what that's showing these kids is that like, hey, fuck your dad who makes $60,000 a year doing plumbing.
Yeah.
Look at this. Like you can get more than your dad makes by goofing off in this. It gives these kids a skewed sense
like,
of,
well, I can just goof off and make money.
Right.
I don't have to actually work
shows
hard.
them a version of the world that's not the reality for most people.
Yes.
And
And they think that's a reality, and it's not even real.
It's not real.
Right?
And
It's not even real. It's fake numbers. He's got sponsors or somebody giving him money and giving him things to.
It's
to
not
put
his
out
money
there.
he's giving away.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, he didn't go to college. He had friends with whatever. I'm like, no, man.
Dude,
There's something up here. There's no
one
way
of the
this
things
guy.
with Mr. Beast was that got him big when he was like starting his channel or like trying to grow it was he did a video where I can't remember the amount of times. It was like 100,000 times or something in over 24 hours of him just saying Jake Paul's name over and over and over again. Wait, what is that? That's a fucking conjuring. That's a pseudo satanic magic thing. I can't remember what it's called.
Those are real. Those are real.
Mantra. It's a mantra, and it's like
process magic.
But I think like I'm one of those people that thinks everything's fucking satanic these days.
I think everything's FGR.
Dark. Yeah.
So I have a clips channel for my Jon Fitch Knows Nothing show, JFKN clips, right? On YouTube. And so I put up videos, minute long little clips on there, right? So just to kind of show you, I'm sure this is just a coincidence, right? So one I'll read them in kind of order. This one actually got pretty good views. Like No One's Coming to Save You clip that was today. I actually got 350 some views. The one after that is day before was Too Many Restrictions in MMA. I got over 1,000 views on that. Then I go Can't Keep Going Forever. It's about printing money. Right, they can't keep printing money forever. 22 views.
They squashed it.
22 views. Then I go, where are you getting your fight info? Again, it's a fight topic. 2,000 views.
Yeah.
Where does Ursa go? It's about a fighter video. Over 2,000 views. The Lowest Bidder. It's another MMA thing. 1.6 thousand views. Then I go. What are these other ones? The internet isn't real. Right. 34 views.
Yeah.
Right. Get Off the Plantation. I'm talking about getting off the plantation of politics, two-party politics. 33 views.
Yeah.
The Root of All Evil, and that's the banks. I'm talking about the banks. 21 views. Right. So will they let Trump win again? 44 views. So anything that's like really over the target, nothing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And they'll try to argue. They'll be like, oh, well, the people just aren't interested. That's like bull crap.
Bullshit. They're more interested in that.
Somebody like when I follow somebody, I don't always like read the thing and say, oh, do I want to read this video or whatever?
Just watch what comes up. Yep.
Yeah, it just pops up and I go to the next thing. So it's crazy, man. The idea that that's not manipulated, I'm sorry. I got to bridge this up.
It definitely is.
It's a little bit of synchronicity that you say that. I was listening to our interview with Big Herc from Fresh Out earlier, just like looking for clips, like a clip. And he was kind of asking our opinion about like the Sean Ryan show, for example. And so what Herc was saying was that he had a pedophile hunter on his show, like back in the day. I think he's been on YouTube for like 10 years. He's got like close to 600,000 followers. And he was saying that his episode when he was interviewing that dude that was hunting pedophiles got throttled. It was like, like you're saying, from he usually gets thousands of views down to like 500,
Mm-hmm.
But then you click over to something like the Sean Ryan show where that shit gets like 5 million view, whatever. I'm throwing out hyperbole numbers here, but and so what we were kind of discussing during that time is it's coming from the incorrect source, right? Like they don't want to hear it from an insider like you that the UFC's all fucked up, right? But but
Yep.
maybe if it comes from the approved source, like I don't know if Chael Sonnen or some shit says it gets cranked up to like 1 million views, right?
100%.
Yeah.
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 That's because he's not really a journalist. He's a shill. He works for the promotions. He pushes the promotions. He's always going to side with the promotions.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit. It's lucrative to be a shill, political shill, sport. Like every kind of separate segment has their bunch of shills
They're just acting. That's all I see it as for themselves. I'm just acting. I'm just doing a job.
Man.
Yeah, I think I'm at the point now where if it's a huge influencer, you know, like one of the big names, even the ones that when like Tucker Carlson, like a lot of what that guy says, I'm like, oh man, you know, like I'm with it.
What? How many writers does that guy have working for him though?
Yeah, true.
What kind of team? What PR team does he have working for him, setting him up? Because I'm not stupid. I remember the 2000s. I remember him with his little stupid bow tie, banging the war drum for Iraq.
Oh, 100%.
He could not wait to go to war. And if you opposed war in Iraq, you were a piece of crap. You were un-American. I don't forget that. Oh, well, he apologized. I don't care. How many people died because of what he was doing?
Yeah, apology. That's just his entry into the next level of shilling.
Yes.
Okay, this is what you got to do to get all these right wing, you know, frankly brainless people to.
A current example of that, which I refer to as turd polishing, is Mark Zuckerberg. Time now.
Oh, he's like Chad Mark Zuckerberg now. He's like
saying that
fucking doing jujitsu.
The FBI made me smash.
And he's like, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, you're like, bro, you.
All right. What about all the emotional like experiments you did on people?
Yeah,
like you're sorry about that too. I didn't forget about that. You're running like experiments on people,
dude. There's no way, but people accept it. They go, oh, he looks like a cool dude now.
Does jujitsu now?
Does jujitsu? He was on the 4th of July. He was like wakeboarding with an American flag, like looking like a cool guy. He's got like
this is turd
fucking
polish.
Chain and shit now. People are like, oh yeah, he's cool now. He figured it out. Good for him. And it's like, no, dude, he should probably be in prison or, you know,
You guys, you guys should see my story on my Instagram. I've got a funny Mark Zuckerberg
all right, we'll check it out.
Clip on there. It's like the T600, the old version of them, and now it's the T1000. It's the clip from Terminator where he's like, you can't tell the difference. They're liquid. They're real. The breath smells even. You can't stop them.
Dude, there's a real weird one going on right now. That took me some time to figure out what I think about it. But like this whole Candace Owens thing.
Dude, she's another one.
So as of late, right? She's both barrels, full bore, can't say enough bad things about the Jews, right? Like crazy. She's talking about Sabbatean Frankism.
She did bring up that.
So it's all the shit, like Holocaust numbers are wrong, like everything, right? And you're like, damn. So at first glance, you're like, well, she's really going out. No, I don't think so. I think she's on the side of the Zionists, and the purpose of her is because it's to a normal person, it's gross. It's like, holy shit, that's very anti-Semitic. That's intense. Like what she's talking about is a lot, you know, it's very intense. So I think what that does is it puts that out into the information environment, and what it does is it quashes any legitimate challenge to Zionism, because what you definitely don't want is someone calmly, rationally, with all the facts at hand to say the things she's saying, but not the way she's saying it. So she says it the way she's saying it to kill you know, they really have to bring out. So Dan Bilzerian, same thing. He was on a bunch of podcasts. Is he?
Yeah, Dan Bilzerian's like 3 feet tall.
He was making the rounds on a bunch of podcasts saying all the you know, anti-Semitic shit, right? And I think he's another one. I think it's like they let him run around, you know, doing his thing, and then they're like, "Hey, dude, your turn. Well, we got something you need you to do."
You take something as greasy and disgusting and really interesting as Sabotage Zevi, the 1666 fucking Antichrist Messiah.
Yeah.
And so then you let that information hit the people by somebody who you can call some crazy radical like Candace Owens.
Yeah.
It's like,
you can discount it.
You can discount it.
Yeah. Right,
so like, it's like when Alex Jones tells you some crazy shit, you're like, oh, that dude's
that's what I'm talking about. Like
I think Alex Jones is a plant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That guy.
And he's another one though, where I've been very entertained. And there's a podcast you might not heard, but it's called War Mode. It's not a video thing. You just listen to it. But like me and Cody, I don't listen to it that much anymore. But
I
for a
haven't
while
caught
we were
most
into
of
it.
it.
It's these two like working class dudes from Philadelphia, just like normal dudes that have like a conspiracy-esque podcast or whatever.
Hilarious.
But they do these really cool intros where they just take stuff, you know, from the media environment and they kind of chop it all up. But like they put a lot of Alex Jones clips in there where he's freaking out and like 1776 will happen again. And it's like I don't take him seriously, but I like the character. Like I get pumped up. I'm like, this shit's hilarious, you know, like. And the funny thing is he's another one though. He said a lot of true things.
Yeah.
He said a lot of crazy shit. So when you mix true things with the crazy shit, your average normal person can throw away everything, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, that's what crazy people like Alex Jones say.
Also with Jones, they just blasted him with that Sandy Hook settlement. So
dude,
it
like $1
can
billion
also-
or
Yeah, they can
something.
also show you if you say that crazy shit, you're gonna
Yeah. Although he's never gonna pay, like they're not gonna get that money.
So
from him.
on to some Alex Jones real
Hey,
quick.
and is that oh, they really got him, or is it a fake got him? So look, guys, look what could happen to you
It's
if
a
you say
fake
the
got
wrong
him.
thing,
I think.
right?
So John's got
Because it's not really to punish him; it's to scare everybody else.
No,
from
he's still doing
speaking
his
out.
show and shit.
yeah,
Like, don't ever be like Alex Jones, or you're going to get sued for $1 billion. Don't question things.
right.
I think it sends more of a message than that than it does like, oh, punish you, Alex Jones.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to punish him, couldn't they just like pull his ability to like be online, like talk and say things? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they can do basically anything.
So John's
Put a
got
muzzle
hard
on
out
him or something.
at an hour.
Okay.
They were rushing up to here real quick. So since we brought up Alex Jones here at the end, we'll stop it at this. You know, so Aaron and I are pretty confident that Freemasons did not drive a fucking dune buggy on the moon. That the moon landing was fake.
Yeah.
Since we brought up Alex Jones at the end of this, he'll tell you every day that we went to the moon.
Yeah, he's a big
So as we end this thing, John, thank you so much for your time. And where are you at on the moon landing?
Oh damn, you gonna put him on the record?
I am putting everything that I've learned because of everything that's happened in the last like 10 years or so. No. Well, since 9/11, everything since 9/11 that's happened and gone down. I've learned that unless I can use the scientific method to prove something to myself, it's just interesting theory.
Yeah,
That's fair.
It's interesting theory because I wasn't there and I don't have the math skills to do the computations.
right.
I don't have enough access to information to really know. It's a cool story.
Yeah.
Either way,
Scientific method. I can't repeat it. I can't observe it. Like, yeah.
That's the way to be. Like I think I
do lean towards globe model versus flat Earth because I've been on different hemispheres of Earth, supposedly, whatever.
Yeah.
I've been to Australia, I've been to Brazil, I've been to Europe. I took astronomy classes in high school where we had a really nice like dome with the lights and we could see everything.
Nice.
So like I could recognize the stars and constellations and they're different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been down where you can see the Southern Cross in like Australia, for example. You can't see that here. I think
so it's like there's differences enough there. And I know that Navy people would sail the oceans using the stars. So there's got to be some kind of evidence there. So I'm leaning that way. But I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm not going to die on any hill unless I can prove it myself.
Make no claims about the shape of the realm. I think a lot of people that are in that same vein are like, it could be a globe just much bigger than we're told, which would make a lot of the inconsistencies with the globe model kind of like the fact that you can't discern the curve no matter where you are like that. Okay. If the thing was much bigger than they're telling us, because there's a bunch of land past the ice wall they don't want us fucking around with. I'm like, that makes sense.
That'd be a good theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to show our old unit emblem has the Southern Cross on it because there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shit, man, that's just about coming up to 5 o'clock your time, man. I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
John.
Thanks
Thank
again
you.
for your time. It was cool.
Good talk.
And talking to you.
No audio issues this time. Hopefully.
No, sounds good. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't tell last time either until we were done, right?
Yeah, and I tried all kinds of AI.
I did hear something at the very beginning though.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. It sounds.
I did say
sounds
something.
good.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you very much. We want to let you get out of here on time, dude. Love the conversation, and yeah, man, we'll stay in touch, and we'll check in maybe a couple months and see where the hell
next
we're
time
at,
something
man.
weird happens, we'll
It's almost like every day.
yeah, right. All right, man.
Thank
Cool
you,
guys.
Take
Thanks
care,
for
bud.
having me.